Good day or evening to everyone out there in the decoding world. My name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality. And today, a very special presentation on today's events, January 6th, 2021. The events that happened in Washington, D.C. when a group of people stormed the Capitol building. And the origin of that, of course, was based heavily in President Trump's remarks on the podium, on the world stage. And folks, I'm just showing you a quick presentation of this. This is not going to be a long one, but again, the very reason why I'm showing this is to support the countless videos I have now that man is being used to complete an agenda. And this event is no exception. And again, you know, the cards and the numbers are going to support what I continually say, and a lot of you are catching on. And, you know, today is January 6th, and the card that's linked to that, folks, is this one right here called the 8 Spades card. So let me show you the chart just so you know that's exactly where we're at. Here's January. This is the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. The 12 months run along the top, the 31 days run vertically. And January 6th is right there. It's the 8 Spades card. Now, folks, this card in the lineages of the deck is the 47th card in the deck. And again, going to the card lineages, here they are, all in order. And when you go over to the spades over here to the far right, you'll notice there is the 8 Spades card, card number 47. Now, if you've been paying attention to this great work, folks, you know what's linked to that number 47. And we're going to get into that. But I wanted to just show you the highlighted aspects of what this card means in the tarot. Because, see, the cards of illumination are the origins of the tarot, or an offshoot of the tarot. The tarot came second after the cards of illumination, but nonetheless, they're completely in bed together. And where one leaves off, the other one picks up. And you'll get a more defined expression of what these days mean on the calendar using the tarot and the symbols. And again, do you really think that man is sitting down? Do you realize the conspiracy that you'd have in place to have these events fall on these days that are linked to these cards and numbers? It would be absolutely insane of me to believe or to suggest to any one of you that man is running the ship here. And this is no exception. Again, this 8 of Swords, Spades means swords. And the 8 of Swords, I mean, you can clearly see, let me zoom in, you can clearly see the symbology on this card. The keywords of the 8 of Swords: psychological entrapment, which is exactly what's running this reality wants to do. It wants to trap you, entrap you, leave you powerless. It's forcing you to look at these situations and get emotionally involved with them. That's what it's doing. And notice the keywords of this card. I mean, some of them: restrictions, confinement, caught in a bind, fenced in, stagnation, prison, control, slave, can't see a way out, backed into a corner. I bet if Donald Trump were to read these keywords, he would resonate with a ton of them. The people that went and stormed the Capitol building would resonate with a ton of these keywords, which is exactly the reason why today's events happened on a day of the 8 Spades and this 8 of Swords. Entrapment. Trying to get you to get emotionally involved with today's events. And this 47th card that's linked to this January 6th is, linked to this card right here, the 8 swords, and it's the 57th card in the deck, folks. And I found that this is the graphics I have. If you want these graphics, by the way, just send me an email and I'll send them to you. My email is decodeyourreality@gmail.com. And I just pay it forward, folks. And if you find anything earth-shattering with your decodes, then, share them with me. I'd love to hear. A lot of you have some great decodes. But here it is, card 57 in the tarot deck. Right there. And what's fascinating about this 57, of course, we know the Truman Show equals the number 57. We know James Eugene Carey, the star of the Truman Show, his full birth name equals the number 57. And the guy plays Truman Burbank, the star of Being Trapped and Limited. If you haven't seen my decode on the Truman Show, I'd highly suggest checking it out because clearly it's showing you what's going on in our reality. When you bring in numberempire.com, folks, which is tied to today's day, January 6th, 57th prime is tied to the number 269. Now, what does the 269 mean? That's important. Well, when you separate the 2 from the 69, you get duality, and then you get the yin-yang. I mean, the 69 means yin-yang, and the 2 means duality. Stuck down here in duality. That's what this number means. And, the square root really, folks, is where it's at. Now, this is obviously new to a lot of you that are watching this. And what is a square root? Well, it's just a multiplication, like 2 times 2. Square root of 4. That's exactly how this math works, folks. It's really simple on finding square roots. And I'm just going to backtrack. I'm going to show you exactly how to find a square root, and you should be including these in your decodes. But you scroll down here all the way to the bottom, and here it is. There's the square root of 269, which is the 57th prime number. Right there, and I'm going to be showing that because I've shown clearly, folks, in this decode of the square and the cube, what's running this reality, being stuck inside this 3-dimensional space, the cube, which is the tetragrammaton, and what's running it. If you haven't seen this decode, I'd highly suggest checking this one out. It's only 16 minutes long, but there's a wealth of information in there. And the square cipher, most people don't use it. If you're a basic decoder, you're just connecting with you're just connecting words to numbers. That's going to lead you to dead ends. You got to get really crafty with this kind of stuff. But this is a very important cipher to use, folks, and, that's why the square roots are really important. When you start, this is more advanced decoding, and you got to become an advanced decoder, because if you're a basic decoder, your results are going to be watered down. You may not like to hear that, but those are the facts. So the square root is where it's at, folks, and you're going to find a lot of nuggets, and this is no exception. So what is the square root of this number? Well, it's this right here, which I showed, which I showed on numberempire.com. So, of course, you want to add these up and get more layers. So the square root of 269 is 16.4012 da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So we separate those, and this is what we get right here, folks. 16, and then we add up all these digits, and you get the number 53, which is 1/2 of the I am. If you take 16 and add it to 53, this is the number you're going to get, the number 69, which is the yin-yang. And then we go, right back to that number 269, which is tied to the 57th prime number, which is tied to this card right here, which is tied to today's events and the card that's tied to that. It's pretty crystal clear, and you can see, when you open your eyes, you can see that man's not doing anything, folks. These layers are too deep. I could see that if we only could review things from this layer, yes, then I could say man could be consciously choosing things to happen on specific dates, but not when you get into the square roots, not when you get into prime numbers, not when you add the tarot onto it and the cards of illumination and the elements of the periodic table. Not when you get into these multiple layers, folks. It's way too complicated. This is the New Age name of the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. And you got to stand neutral to all this stuff, because if this is the energy that's running and controlling this reality, well, it's far superior than any of us are doing, any of our dealings. So we just need to observe it from a neutral standpoint, because we're trying to figure this stuff out. So then, you really get into, again, to go back to the basics. This 47th card in the deck, tied to January 6th of today's events of Trapped and Limited, backed into a corner. It's tied to this right here. I mean, this is the actual Greek referencing title of the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. And notice it's a 47. It's this tied to this card right here. And folks, this is what's running this. That's why on January 20th, when the inauguration takes place, the president being sworn in puts his hand on the Holy Bible, because the Bible's run by this energy right there, which is run by this energy right there. It's the same character, same energy, but it's running this reality, folks. It is running this reality, and our minds are not our own. And you got to break free. I think the only way we get free will is if we break free from these chains and bonds of realizing that we're trapped and limited. See, people that are still stuck in politics, the ones that are kind of heavily invested with watching the politics on CNN and ABC and CBS and giving their energy to that and getting emotionally involved, they're still trapped and limited into this reality, because they're giving all their gold currency to the event on the world stage. Anybody that's posting anything about politics and they're getting emotionally involved and they're getting evenly keeled with it, they're completely being trapped and limited. They're powerless. They're owned. And that's why we have to separate ourselves from that. I'm finding in my people are asking me, like, what are the answers, Logan? How do we get? I think that one of the ways you can get out of it is to know that you're in a trap, and to stand in the neutrality area, not giving any energy to these people that are storming the Capitol building, not giving any energy to these politicians in the Senate that are going to go out there and say what they got to say, not giving any of your energy to the President of the United States. Just let him do what he's got to do. That's how I feel that you're going to get psychologically out of this, folks. Because clearly the numbers in the code are showing that this reality is not run by man. It's not run by man. It's not. You can slice it or dice it any way you want, folks, but it's not being run by man. Here's another layer, folks. This is the card tied to this card right here. These are the medicine cards. These were developed in the 13th and 14th century. These were developed just a couple decades ago. And yet, look at the tie-ins, folks. The prairie dog. Do you think the people who created this deck sat down and really did their homework and realized, well, the 8 Spades is 47th card and it's tied to the numerology of, the Tetragrammaton, and so we got to call it the prairie dog, Folks, that's insane thinking. Man's being used. These are all connected because they're supposed to be connected. They're supposed to be connected. What is dog? It's God spelled backwards. It's kind of the sense of humor of whatever created this reality and it's running man. And here's just my last slide, folks. I'm going to keep this one short, but clearly you can see what else equals 30? Santa Claus. Nazareth, like Jesus of Nazareth, that equals the number 30. It's the rabbit card going down the rabbit hole. Alice follows the rabbit down the rabbit hole. What do you think the rabbit hole is? It's this false illusion, this world, this simulation, however you want to describe it. And it's all based on fear and love. It's all based on chaos and order. And it ain't man running it, folks. It's not man running it. It's not. That's why they use the Bible when they do their inauguration. It's why churches are tax exempt. Because man's being used, folks, and Perhaps the only way to get out of being used is to realize you're in this trap, to realize you're entrapped, and then not to give your gold away, folks. These people that stormed the Capitol building, they're pawns. That's how I would, nothing against them. It's not negative or being judgmental. I'm simply saying that in the game of chess, the pawns are the most disposable. You wouldn't have high-level echelon pieces charging and storming the Capitol. Trump didn't storm the Capitol building. He encouraged all the pawns to do it, and they did. Paid or not, set up or not, it doesn't matter, folks. What matters is these dates and things that happen clearly are telling us the story and the narrative, and it's clearly saying man's not doing it, folks. They're being manipulated psychologically through the voice in the back of their head, folks. And I'm just be quite honest with you. I don't know a way out right now. I'm still working on my prison plan at Decode, and I still have not found some of the answers that I'm looking for. So, folks, the best way to really play this game right now is to stand in the middle and just observe like you're going to the movies. And to not get emotionally involved with these layers and events that are going on. Because they're going to easily take your gold. You want to hold all your gold and only give it to people that deserve it. The people that care about you and love you. These people don't care about you. They're not going to give you any of their gold. So that's all I got for today, folks. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality, and I thank you so very much for watching.